Are you one of those producers that puts effects on all of your tracks and instruments? Do you know what an auxiliary send and return is? If you don't, you probably haven't come from the analog days. I know this video is for beginners, but I'm here to explain the differences. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, and welcome to Distinct Mastering. My name is Freddie. I'm a mastering engineer, producer, DJ, and president of Sleeping Giant Music. For over 2 decades, I've helped artists grow their careers, and now I'm here to help you with your music production skills. If you like my content, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and the bell notification will keep you up to date. Now let's chat about auxiliary send and returns. Okay, this one's gonna be for the beginners. If you're not familiar with auxiliary send and returns, this goes back to old analog mixers on old consoles. Even, when I was a kid and I used to play around with the old Mackie consoles, I think I used to have a 32 channel at my old home studio, and it had the auxiliary send and then it had to return. Even DJ mixers have the effects send and return. It's the same concept. The concept is that you have a send volume and you're sending a signal one place, and usually you're putting an effect on that, and then you're sending the return volume and you can turn up that gain up or down, and you're receiving the input. Now, the benefit to using send and returns versus putting effects directly on your tracks as if you were doing an insert into an old analog piece of gear is that you have the ability to control a lot more when it comes to automation. You can also say send if it's a vocal, only certain words to the effect, whereas you'd have to automate a bunch of parameters on the effect unit itself on the track. So this might sound a little confusing. Let me give you some examples. A lot of times what I see people do is I see people put, say, a reverb or a delay directly on the track. Let's just use this H reverb, for example. And, the problem with doing it this way is your dry wet. You have to adjust this to your taste. But you can't really, you could automate that, but it's not as ideal because you gotta do all this in Pro Tools, and I don't want to go through this whole mess personally. But now I have the dry wet here, and so I could kind of automate this up. But it's moving there. That isn't the greatest way to do that. If you want to just put this on and leave that the same, you can. But to get a little bit more creative, let's create a send and return. So first and foremost, we're going to go for a new track, or you can press Command-Shift-N. I'm going to make a stereo aux track, and I'm going to call this effects send. I'm going to put a few different things on here. So let's go ahead and we'll start off with a reverb. Let's go to the Fab Filter, actually. Let's go to the Fab Filter Pro R. And so the cool thing about using it this way is now I just need to use my sends, which if I turn my inserts on and I turn my sends on, you can also get to this on the mixer window right here. So let's just send it, and we can just send it to the effects send. Now I have this pop up. This is my send level. So what I want to do is I want to turn this up. And as you can see, as I turn that up, you might just want to hit Alt and hit it to Unity. And I leave my dry wet 100%. When you do it this way, you leave it 100%. And then you can actually turn the level of the return, which is right here, and blend this in. If we change it. So that's the beauty of doing it this way. So if I have a reverb, I could do it like that. Let me make another send here, and I want to show you how I can do a delay. I'm going to call this delay send. I could have called that one reverb send, but for the purpose of the video, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to pick, let's go to Sound Toys and do Echo Boy, one of my favorite delays. I have a video on this. I'll leave you a link up above. I'm going to mute this one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to send another one over to the delay. Okay, and now I've got my mix at 50%. I want to push that to 100%.
the difference now.
And now I gotta turn this up. Once again, I could just set, my send level could be whatever I want.
Ever stays the same.
But I usually like to put those up to Unity and just control it here. But here's a cool trick that you could do with delays. I'm gonna put that on a quarter note. And what I can do is I can actually automate the send level. So here's my send level, which is 100% now. Let's just say I want it only on that last word. Perhaps I do something like this. Or that last phrase.
And if we should separate,
or something like this.
go your own way, I won't wait.
Or maybe you just want it literally on that last word, which I do quite often.
Wrong way, I won't wait.
And maybe I'll turn up the feedback.
Wrong way, I won't wait.
And so that gives you the way you can easily do those delays on those tails that you commonly hear people do. So that's another benefit to using the auxiliary sends or the sends and returns. Last but not least, I'm going to leave you with another way that you can use send and returns, and that's by doing something like parallel compression. So let's go ahead and create another send here. I'm going to make this auxiliary send, and I'm going to call this parallel. And I'm going to show you how this can actually work. Okay, guys, so what I did is I brought in a drum beat here, and we're going to talk a little bit about this. I'm going to clean this up just for the purpose of this video. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using an auxiliary send to create the old school parallel compression trick. And you could do this with really anything. I'm going to make another aux track, and I'm going to call it parallel. Now, I'm going to pick the Universal Audio API 2500 right here. And now the cool thing about this plugin, the Universal Audio version has a mix knob, and I'll talk about that in a second because you can get the same effect by putting it directly on the drum track. So I'm going to put that there for now, but bypass that. So say if you're using the Waves version or another version of this plugin or a different compressor and you want to achieve the same effect, what you would do is you would send the signal off to the parallel track, and from there you turn up the gain. Let's mute this vocal. And I'll just grab some random drums. So usually what you do is you kind of smash this. I'll leave that there. And the goal is to basically blend this back in. So here it is without. And you can see. And there's a little. So there we go. See how I've got the meters kind of pinging along with the drums. I'm just doing this for an example, but if I mute this, it gives a little more presence to the drums. Now, that's how you would set up parallel compression, and that's another beautiful thing about using send and returns. But if the plugin actually has a mix knob, you can achieve the same effect. Let's copy this back over just by bringing this down. So there you go. Hopefully that shows you some cool ways that you can use auxiliary send and returns in Pro Tools. And that's an overview on how you can use auxiliary sends and returns in your music productions. If you have any questions, shoot me a comment down below. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and the bell notification will keep you up to date. Once again, my name is Freddie from Distinct Mastering, and have a great day.